which James Comey making a complete ass of himself last night on the town hall meeting. But Tapper actually asked the guy some legitimate questions, which was shocking to me because, as you heard in the montage, Kellyanne Conway, counselor of the president, said, I guess Comey walked in there, expected he was going to get, high fives, and they would be bowing down to him and saying, thank you for saving us from this man. Instead, Tapper, called him out on some stuff, and you got to give him credit for that. This guy is a complete clown. This is a clown show. He's a leaker. He's a liar. He's a cheat. He was incompetent. He did a horrible job. Everybody wanted him to get fired. Rod Rothenstein, the deputy attorney general at the Justice Department, wrote a letter to the president saying he should get fired. He politicized the FBI by saying, well, he only talked about, wanted to bring forward the Clinton-Weiner emails because she was ahead in the polls. I mean, who does this? Okay, this guy is a complete clown show. And to shed some light on it, along with Michael Cohen and everything else going on, is our good friend Sidney Powell. Sidney is a senior policy advisor with America First Policies. Thanks for being with us, Sidney. And she's also the author of the best-selling book, License to Lie. You can get it on Amazon, or you can go to license2lie.com. Great book. Got to read it. Must read, although it's going to scare the pants off you or the dress off you or whatever you got now. It's going to scare you to death, the power of these federal prosecutors. But joining us now to sort this out, Sidney Powell. Sidney, good to have you with us.
Thank you, John. It's always good to be with you. What you really don't understand, though, is that Comey is God. He is the ultimate authority on anything he wants to do. So, of course, there was no problem with him leaking classified information to his friend because he's the ultimate authority on what is a leak, what is classified, who can get information from the FBI, who can be hired at the FBI. I mean, we just now find out that Daniel Richmond has been a special access employee of the FBI since 2015, which, by the way, is about the time the FBI started giving unauthorized or invalid access to raw FISA intel to private contractors in violation of the Fourth Amendment and the law. It's stunning, absolutely stunning.
I want to talk a little bit about your piece in the Daily Caller yesterday. Can you comment on that and some of the findings that you've had in this developing story, Sidney?
Yes, it's about 2 days in January that set the stage for everything that's come after that. If you put together the memo that Susan Rice wrote herself on January 15 about a meeting in the Oval Office that was actually on January 5th, and Mr. Comey's first memo after he spoke with President-elect Trump on January 6th, you see that there was a meeting in the Oval Office on January 5th between James Clapper, John Brennan, the President, Sally Yates, the Vice President, Susan Rice, and James Comey. According to Susan Rice's memo, they say they don't talk about the Salacious Steele dossier, or actually, according to Catherine Rumler, one of the villains in my book, who now represents Susan Rice, that didn't come up then. Of course not. I mean, it was just, fresh on everybody's mind, and that Comey was going to brief the president on it the very next day. In Comey's memo then, which he ran to the car to write as soon as he finished visiting with the president on January 6th, he says that Clapper told him to brief the president-elect on the salacious parts of that memo, the personal allegations that are absolutely outrageous, and that he executed it exactly as he had planned. He said, I executed the session with the president-elect exactly as I had planned. And I think it's clear from the timeline that the plan for that whole thing was laid in the meeting between President Obama and Mr. Comey and the others in the Oval Office on January 5th. And then he executed it on January 6th. Then he kept detailed notes of all his other conversations with the president and, of course, leaked them as he had planned to trigger the appointment of special counsel. I mean, the whole thing was hatched out.
So the guy that he leaked it to, now we're finding out, and Kellyanne was saying this, you heard the montage, Kellyanne Conway saying that he had the person that was supposed to be the college professor guy in Columbia. He was with the FBI or something. What was that about?
Apparently, he was what's called a special access employee of the FBI, which means that Comey put him on the FBI payroll, got him security clearance, and he had a badge that he could go freely in and out of the FBI to talk to Mr. Comey whenever they wanted to talk. So he needs to be a witness in front of Congress now because he obviously knows a lot more than anyone thought he knew, and has been involved in a lot more than anyone ever believed he was involved in. All Comey had ever described him as before was a friend at Columbia. So this is a major development, and he's gonna find himself testifying before some congressional committees. On top of that, Comey has now hired him as his lawyer, which is interesting in and of itself, and the same with Patrick Fitzgerald, who apparently he also leaked the memos to. And, of course, I'm sure Comey gave the memos to Robert Mueller either before Mueller was named special counsel or immediately thereafter.
So, Sidney Powell, let me get this straight, just for our audience that doesn't follow this every day like we do. So Comey leaks this memo. Somebody that leaked it to the New York, they gave it to the New York Times. And the way the story was written was that it was a friend of his that was a Columbia professor. And, they were friends in New York, and he was like his confidant. They had cigars together. So he gave it to this Columbia professor, who then gave it to the New York Times. Now we find out that the Columbia professor...
read it to the New York Times, yes.
The what?
He read it to the New York Times.
Well, yeah, read it to the New York Times over the phone. So, but now we find out that the so-called Columbia professor, which kind of looks like somewhat innocent, like here's my friend, I have cigars with him and a scotch once in a while, and he's a professor, and we kind of hang, and, just in case I'm dead, he's got my stuff, it was you know what I mean? It was like if I die, he's got my file. It was semi-plausible, right? Now we find out, no, Comey put him on the FBI payroll. So this guy was a government employee, right, getting paid by the FBI, taxpayer funds, and he had access, badges, guns, he could come and go whatever he please. So now he's sending it to another FBI agent, which is very different than sending it to his friend, his college professor, that, maybe he leaked it, maybe he didn't, but in the case, that I die, he's got the stuff. Now we find out it's a coordinated effort.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't that change it?
Definitely a coordinated effort. And the coordination started in the Oval Office on January 5th, if not before.
And what was their objective here?
Their objective was to keep any information they could possibly keep away from President-elect Trump. They talk about not giving him access to any of the information regarding Russia. It's a measure to isolate him and put him in a box from the time he becomes president. It's an effort to undermine his presidency. It's an effort to create the whole Russia collusion narrative and set the stage to try to impeach him.
We're with Sidney Powell. She's a senior policy advisor for America First Policy. Sidney is also the author of one of the best-selling books and must-read books out there for anybody interested in their government, how it works, and the power of these federal prosecutors. It's called License to Lie. Now, I've said this many times. People put things off. Yeah, I'll get it whenever. Yeah, I'll go on Amazon. Yeah, I'll go to the bookstore. Yeah, I'll order it. I'll go online. Do it now, right? Just do it. Because this thing is going to come in the mail, and you're going to say, well, this is a pretty big book, and you're going to open it, and you're going to read the first page, and then you're going to be like, holy crap, and you're not going to put it down. And it's going to change your perspective on a lot of things because Sidney was there, and she tells a story, and it's gripping. License to Lie, Sidney Powell. You can get it on Amazon, or you can go to licencetolie.com. But you got to buy it. And don't wait till like holidays or birthday. Just buy it. It's like $20. Buy it. Now, Sidney, I want to get to the Rothenstein letter to Trump telling Trump to fire Comey. Why isn't this not front and center?
It should be front and center. Everybody wanted to fire Comey. It wasn't just President Trump. If Hillary Clinton had been elected president, Comey would have been fired on day one. President Trump's mistake was in not demanding his resignation immediately. He should have been fired from day one. His whole grandstanding over the Hillary Clinton investigation and the way he handled it was appalling and completely contrary both to FBI protocol and the rule of law. So, yeah, he should have been fired. He just should have been fired a lot sooner.
Let me ask you something else. What about the fact that we just heard this, and I wanted to corroborate this with you. So Rothstein sends a letter to the president, says, look, fire this guy, he's awful. President fires him. Then Rothstein, I just heard this the other day, then Rothstein brings Mueller into Trump and introduces him and pushes him as the new FBI director. And the president said to Rothstein when it was done, nice guy, not my cup of tea, and I don't want any more George Bush holdovers. Is that true?
I think that is true. I'm not sure that Rosenstein's the one who brought Mueller in. That part I can't verify, but it's definitely true that Mueller interviewed for the job as FBI director probably a day or two before he was named special counsel, which in itself should have been a conflict that kept Mueller from being special counsel.
It's unbelievable.
That was he didn't just become special counsel in an instant. That wasn't something, I mean, you don't leave a major law firm and all your clients in 30 seconds to become special counsel. So one of my theories is that they were talking about Mueller being special counsel for many days before he actually was. And when we get the additional stroke page text messages, if we ever do, I would love to see if there's information in there discussing Mr. Mueller being appointed special counsel long before he was.
The lies continue. I mean, this is the deeper you look into this. I mean, I really think this Comey thing is going to backfire, Sidney. I mean, first of all, the guy's a clown. Jake Tapper, of all people, started exposing him last night. Good for Anderson Cooper,
yep.
Who never asks any of these people a tough question. I guess yesterday decided that, he had to dig into this to have some semblance of credibility. So he starts digging. And now, and the guy lies. He has no credibility. I think it's going to just blow up in his face. Rudy Giuliani, what's the impact of having him and the White House
I think he was a great choice to do what I hope he's going to do, and that is bring an end to the Mueller investigation. I think that's going to take something of a miracle. But Rudy, given his lengthy experience both in law and politics, is a great choice to do that. He certainly has criminal law experience and political experience, knows all the players, so he should be an excellent choice to facilitate bringing an end to it in some length of time. I'm astonished he thinks he can do it in 2 weeks. If he can, that would be fantastic. But there are no circumstances under which I think the president should sit down with Robert Mueller for a lot of reasons.
And I've got 30 seconds. Why?
Well, look at what happened to General Flynn and George Papadopoulos and the young lawyer from Skadden Arps. I mean, there's no circumstances under which you can sit down and talk to the special prosecutors without risking being prosecuted for something they make up, if nothing else.
And the same thing happened to President Clinton, right?
He got prosecuted for perjury in front of the grand jury. I mean, not prosecuted, but the impeachment proceedings started because of that.
What is. All right, out of time. Got to go. Sidney Powell, thanks for being with us. Got to get her Sidney Powell fix once a week. Great insight. Go read. She's got a great piece in the Daily Caller. Read that. But the most important thing, License to Lie. Take $20. It's not going to break you. Buy this book because I'm telling you, you buy it, it'll come in the mail. You open a box. You'll be, boy, this is a big book. I got other things to do. You read one page in the bathroom, you will not put the thing down. John Fredericks Radio Network. Keep it right.